What's going on, everybody? This Childish. We're back at it again with a brand new video for Might and Magic Elemental Guardians. Today, we got something super special for you. The developer team has dropped a little bit of insight on what's coming up on the update this Thursday. And we also have a special guest to help us out with that today, Max, another streamer from the MMEG community. What's going on, my man?
Hello, good people. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good, sir. There was this interesting thing that got dropped today, and it definitely got a lot of people talking. So, a couple of us had a chance to go out there to the studio over there in Barcelona, the Ubisoft studio, and we had a chance to hang out with the community and talk about one of the things that they're looking to implement, throughout their time making this game. And one of the things they're really looking to do is provide us either like a balance patch kind of an update or a content update, once every month and a half or so. So given the fact that this was at the end of the month, now we're rolling up into the end of August, and we got, like I said, we got that sneak peek coming our way this Thursday. But the big drop, as you were stating, Max, was the glyph change from 3 substats, which are currently at, to now 7 substats. Now, this is actually, even though it's from 3 to 7, I thought that there was a change from 3 to 5 as of recent here. Wasn't that correct or no?
No, that was not. So what that was a clarification.
Clarification.
A lot of people thought that you can only get 3 rolls ever, period, which wasn't true.
Right.
The devs left it so that on the reception of a glyph, when it first drops from the dungeon, you can roll into a single substat up to 5 times. It's astronomically unlikely, like 1 in, I think, like 200 million, but it can happen.
Gotcha. We have an interesting comment that got dropped from Tongi, the creative developer of the Ubisoft team. Literally, it was like 9:47. I think it dropped this morning, and I was actually at my what was I at? I was at physical therapy. I was heading my way back on to physical therapy. I think it's maybe been like 75, 90 minutes, and in that time there was over 1,500 messages from the community. So something tells me that some information got dropped and everybody's talking about it. And that was basically the one thing that they talked about, the glyph change from 3 to 7. But of course, this small change impacts everything. So Max, tell us a little bit about the state of the game right now and how you feel it's going to impact the meta.
So right now, from I know I spoke to Vulcan about it just Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
The issue right now is that there's only one unit that can outspeed max speed, and if they have a certain combination of units and they outspeed you, there's not really a whole lot that you can do.
Right.
Because on defense, speaking purely from a competitive aspect,
Right.
on defense, if you have the same speed, they go first. So you reach max speed, they reach max speed, they're gonna go first, and you probably lose because when you have units like Fire Succubus, and she can hit for 40k true damage, there aren't really any units in the game that can live through 40k true damage.
Right.
Or if you have double Fire Dragon or single Fire Dragon hitting 26k AoE, there's not a whole lot you can do about that and live.
Right.
And that's without a defense break.
Right. And so now with this change, the value of each specific glyph that we have that's currently not maxed out has the potential to be good. When we think about the state of the game in such of the veteran players, the players that had a chance to play this during the soft launch here, one of the things that the community said quite a bit was, they thought that was a little bit unfair because these guys had a chance to, farm a little bit. So one of the things that this changes is basically forcing everybody to keep on farming for the potential to get better glyphs. And so to me, out of all the things that we're going to be talking about today, that is huge because the advantage was just, it was overwhelming for some people, but now everybody's going to have a fair chance regardless of how long you've been playing. What's your thoughts on that?
I think beta players are going to have an advantage because they just have more glyphs.
Sure.
That's the thing. Glyphs didn't get any better or worse.
Correct.
They're not better or worse. If you had good glyphs, you still have good glyphs.
Mm-hmm.
What happened is that the ceiling for a specific substat has increased. So now you can potentially get the chances of you getting it is about 1 in 2 billion, but you could potentially get like a 35% crit chance glyph for subs. So you might not have to run crit in your square slot.
Hmm.
And that could be really impactful on some mons like the Air Colossus or Air Basilisk, things that require those substats. So you can really like dive into a specific, like if a monster would be greatly benefited by a specific substat, you can really focus down on that and try to get just those substats on that mon to really make it shine.
Right, right. And even not just the PvP aspect, which I think that's the biggest thing to talk about. When we talk about state of the game, a lot of focus on PvE right now, but PvP, people love it. People enjoy the competitive aspect, but like I said, there's kind of this understood thought. It's either you either outspeed them or you pray to the RNG guys that your high resistance or immunity glyphs hold up. And obviously, for certain compositions, you have the Persian ability that's not going to work out because of the fact that it's irresistible, or you're just gonna have to, if they don't have it like a true purger, then you're just gonna have to bank on those resistance stats. So, getting back to that PVE aspect though. Now the potential of these glyphs will allow even some units that we essentially build super high critical rate. Now we can mix it up and provide a little bit more effective HP. The one unit that kind of comes to mind is like the Air Basilisk for say. Right now we're doing everything in our power to get high crit so that we can reduce the attack bars, get the poisons on, and we have to basically run double critical rate on the square slot. So now we have the potential to change it as well. I'm actually pretty excited about it.
I'm pretty excited too. I think it's going to be great.
Right, right.
The
And then, oh, go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say, even on mons like people might not think about it, but Fire Golem, when in all slots you can get around 200% HP from your subs, that could be amazing on a
Right,
mon that reflects damage.
right, right. And so I guess that's going to change. Like I said, people played around with the Fire Golem a little bit. I didn't see it all too much where I was currently at, but we've seen a couple of late to end game players mess around with it and have fun with it. We've seen a couple of videos throughout there, and it does in fact work. Now it's going to work a little bit better. So, given the fact that this change is coming into play here, I guess now we can make an argument for not just purple glyphs, but even yellow glyphs, depending on the current substats that I have on them and how many rolls into them. You can make an argument for keeping a yellow glyph due to the overall potential of what you can get now. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, the yellow glyphs are definitely going to be a lot more viable because the main stat differences aren't astronomical. Like there's a pretty significant difference,
Right?
but if you roll a 15, 20 speed on a yellow glyph, you're not going to throw it away.
Nope.
I would take that over a purple glyph
Right.
with little speed all day long.
Given what you know, right?
Mhm.
Think about a couple of units out there without throwing out too many secrets that you probably have in store. But for those that don't know in the community, Max is extremely knowledgeable and loves to theorycraft when it comes to this game. Here, he actually, I always give you credit for him. Right when the game first got started, him and Silent Ghost got together and spent hours on end making a 2, 3-star, 4-star tier list to kind of learn the mechanics of all these units, try to figure out which one's good, which one's bad, and due to that, he's really understand the game at a really good level and has been kind of the backbone alongside with Vulcan Legend and quite a few other people in the community to provide me, some of the information that I know today. So, given that you have looked at all of these units, and how the glyphs are going to be changing. What is like one of the one units now that you're like, hey, you know what? Now that I don't have to focus on a crazy amount of speed or I have the potential to speed, what's like one of those units that you're like really excited about building?
The air juggernaut.
Air
He
Juggernaut.
is. I think that he has potential. He's a really stat hungry unit
Mm-hmm.
because he needs some of everything.
Sure.
He has ignore defense on every attack, and he has relatively low base multipliers at start. But once you skill him up all the way, he gets pretty decent multipliers. Um, and you can build him kind of bruiserish. You can have him at about 15k HP, 1k defense, 1.2 or 3k defense, and still have him smack people for like 10k damage.
Yep. That's
And
crazy.
if you can focus in on substats, you can get him with really high crit damage. You could get that even higher.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
even something about, I mean, kind of going on the line of the which we're talking about, just getting actually back to the glyph talk. We there's one thing that really kind of ekes me, and it's the resistance and accuracy teardrop glyphs. When we think about the value of what can be had when you max it out versus some of the other stats you can get versus HP, defense, or whatnot,
hmm
it's definitely on the lower end. But obviously now with the recent change, there's a ton of potential there. I feel like now, even though we still do not get a lot of value out of those resistance glyphs. Given the fact of what we could potentially get on the substats, I think there's even more of a reason to hold on to every single accuracy or resistance glyph. What do you think?
I agree. I do think that those need to be buffed slightly. I don't think you should be able to possibly roll substats that are higher than a main stat on a glyph.
Right?
That's a bit problematic to me.
Yeah.
uh, at worst, you should be able to double it.
Right.
But right now, like after those changes go through, if you get really lucky, you could roll up to on resist, you could roll up to 35%, and on accuracy, you could roll up to I think 28%,
Gotcha. Yep.
if I'm mathing correctly. And right now, I think at max, those both give 27% and 27% accuracy and resist. I'm not quite sure,
It's
but
right around there. Yeah. I thought it was 23 or 27. Yeah. But
okay, yeah. Even like either way, it's less than 35% and 28%. And I don't think that that's good that you can roll substats that are higher than a main stat.
right.
That's a bit problematic.
Right. And given the fact that there's not some people think that resistance and accuracy is, soft or hard capped at 100. There's
Nope.
not too much reason, but it actually can go a little bit higher than that.
Yeah, the reason behind that is the the way accuracy and resistance work is that your chances of landing a debuff are just your accuracy minus their resistance. Period. So if
Period.
they have 100 resistance up on you, you cannot land debuffs
Right.
ever.
Right.
So that I think is where that's one area I think where this change could really be impactful in arena,
Hmm.
because now instead of going for a speed team, if you can't be defense broken, if you have high HP, and if they tune fire succubus, then you can live through being nuked
Right.
and them taking first turn. That's kind of what my AD is built around, and I think that that is probably uh, what they should try to look to do to give people options, to try to build options into the game so that someone else taking turn one doesn't just mean you lose.
Right. One of the things that we
Okay.
already talked about as far as, what would we change and why, and you talked about the resistance and accuracy, glyph improvement, whatnot. If there's anything else you could, mention out to the developer team that, you really are passionate about seeing some improvements on, what would that be?
Mm, they already plan on improving guild shop. Uh, I would like to see guild potions be more useful.
Hmm.
Hopefully, that's something that's coming. But I I think that they really have to do some thinking about purges. I think purges right now, specifically Earth Shaman.
Hmm.
Fire Shaman is kind of hard to deal with, but fine. But specifically Earth Shaman, that's another thing Vulcan and I were talking about. At higher level PvP, if they have an Earth Shaman, you probably don't win unless Fire Monkey lands his stun. You just probably don't. And I think I get like it, for those of you who don't know, purges are irresistible, and I can see why they would do that, because if you have a unit that has immunity and high resist, you don't necessarily want that unit to be able to resist the purge. Um, and the only answer I've been able to come up with to that is you put a unit on immunity and you still give it high resistance. But that seems kind of counterintuitive, because typically you're putting the unit on immunity so that you don't have to give it high resist. You're trying
Right.
to get it to live through that first turn without being defense broken or frozen or stunned or whatever debuffs or CC they might have. You're doing that and hoping that they didn't bring a stripper to go before whatever debuffs. they apply. Or
Hmm.
even if they did, they lose out on that slot because they brought a stripper now. So that's one less slot you have. But with the Earth Shaman, you kind of combine both of those into one slot. So I personally would like to see his defense break apply before his purge.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah,
That's the only thing that I could think that would preserve the effectiveness, but make him less game breaking. Arena, is that's another thing we were talking about. Is at the high end of arena, who wins is who can spam. Like at the end of the week, who can spam the most arena, and they end up with the most points, and you can't catch up. So it's kind of moot. Like having better, like you could have better monsters than everybody, or better glyphs rather, but you still could lose every week because you're not willing to spend $500 worth of seals on refreshes,
hmm
or like you're maybe not five, maybe 1,000 seals on refreshes a week for arena.
yeah.
So,
Well, and
um,
one thing to kind of add to that, though, I think that's a viable conversation. However, though, given the fact that we have the guild quests that actually give you the arena wings, I feel like if people take advantage of those, save them up, and then just essentially use them on that final day, it can make you can make an argument for being able to be competitive due to the fact of your guild selecting the right quest that you need to save up those wings if you're trying to be competitive.
that's true. That's true. I didn't think about that
Yeah.
actually.
It's just a matter of timing the quest to make sure that for the duration of however long they would last, you have them until that Sunday for a reset. If you are a competitive drill, trying to push forward, because that will allow just not just you but all your members to, get up in rank and climb up. So
Hmm.
yeah. But another thing that we were talking about on the side as well, this is actually something that stemmed all the way back in Barcelona when I had a conversation with Vulcan, is the magical shop or the magic shop. As of right now, with this recent change, we have an opportunity to get some really solid glyphs, and the potential of glyphs are going to be even that much better. However, one thing that we've been talking about is the value of the quality glyphs and the fact that we can essentially constantly refresh the shop as much as we want in order to try to get these decent glyphs. So one of the things that Vulcan and I were talking about was possibly creating a limitation of the amount of
Hmm.
times that you can do it.
Hmm.
And one of the things that the dev said back, instead of doing that, maybe there's a reason to increase the amount of seals, which I don't think the seals would really change all too much. If it's a little bit more, people still go for it. But limiting the amount of times you could do it will motivate people to do it that amount of times throughout the day, and also motivate people to log in on a regular basis to check the magical shop because they know they cannot refresh it anymore. What's your thoughts on that? Or if you would change that differently, how would you go about that?
Um, um, so it's really a kind of a hard situation because there's so much stuff that's in the magical shop, right? So I have gotten out of all the books that I've gotten in the game, I've probably gotten like 40 or 50% of my books from the magical shop. When I'm like grinding to improve my teams and
Mm-hmm.
I need books, you can't reliably farm elemental towers because statistically you'll get one every 1 in 17 runs, but you have a lot better chances of getting one in the shop. It might cost you more, but it's there. It's
Right.
not terribly expensive. And I don't think that's bad. I like that. I
Mm-hmm.
think the only issue right now is the quality of glyphs. I don't think you should be able to get glyphs anywhere near the quality of those from the dungeon out of shop. Or
Right.
if you can, they should be so exceedingly rare that even if you are well, you wouldn't want to.
Right.
That's just my opinion. I have no problem with whaling. I think whales make the game free for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a whale, I love you because I
We love
love
you. We both love you.
I love not having to pay just to play, and that Yubi can be so generous with the summons and stuff that they give you um,
Yeah.
because of that. Like there's 30 summons roughly per scenario from achievements, plus a legendary shard in every scenario.
Right.
Um, and that's all thanks to them because
Right.
they want an advantage and they want to pay for it, and that makes sense to me. I don't think that they should be able to just pay to like. I don't think it should be flat out pay to win though.
Right.
Pay for advantage, sure, but when you can just buy glyphs and re-roll and re-roll until you get a perfect glyph or almost so close to perfect as makes no difference.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of game breaking and makes the game not fun for other players. I think they should still have to farm. That's the only
Right.
thing.
No, it's funny because I mean, and I said this to a couple of the other influencers. I said it to a couple of the developers that right now, I'm feel good about Rat 10. Obviously, as people can see right here, I'm working on reducing the amount of time that we can with a couple of other compositions. But when it comes to Strength 10, let's put it this way. Right now with Rat 10, some of the RNG aspect that comes from having single meditation or double meditation is really allow me to do that much better. And to be perfectly honest with you guys, I want to say about 85, probably a good 85%, maybe 90% of my meditation glyphs have come from the magic shop. Did I refresh it like a ton of times? No, I did it. It's been a reasonable amount of time. I'm not going to sit there and refresh the shop if I don't have the crystals to back it up. But it's the value of these glyphs that I'm finding myself, just kind of like similar to what you were saying. Like there's some glyphs that have so good of substats. I just swiped. They have so good of substats. It's just it's unbelievable. Like it's like even if I don't have enough crystals, I need to start selling some crappy glyphs because I have to get that
Yeah,
glyph. Like that glyph is too
yeah,
good. It's better than half the things that I've seen. So yeah, it's crazy.
yeah.
It's
I think
crazy.
an easy fix for that: limit purple glyphs to 3 substats, limit yellow glyphs to 4 substats. Boom, fixed.
Boom,
Like
fixed.
that's it.
That's it.
Because if you're buying glyphs from Magical Shop, the only I don't think that you should have to be buying glyphs from Magical Shop post around level 50. I think around level 50, like from how long it took me, by the time I got to level 50, I was farming Wrath 10. There should be no point, I think, at which you reach late game, you see a glyph in shop, and you're like, I have to buy that.
Right. Right.
Like that kind of invalidates players' work on farming where you can just refresh shop and be like, ooh, well, there's a glyph better than the 5 hours that I spent running dungeons today. And it was just in my shop.
Yeah. With regards to this announcement that they put out there, really exciting stuff. Definitely going to give a really good chance for everybody and anybody to get themselves some pretty high quality glyphs.
Yep.
For the future and the longevity of this game, I'm definitely it's something that was definitely needed, and I'm pretty excited to see where it goes. Any final thoughts for the community as far as either this update or kind of things you're looking forward to in the future?
Um, Not that I can think of. I'm just really excited. Like the reason I play this game is all about the creativity and trying to break the meta and trying to figure things out. And I think with this new substats, like I, I can do so much more. I can like a glyph that I might not have kept previously. Now I can keep it because I might be able to think of somewhere to put it. It might be niche, but it could be really effective.
Right.
And I
Right.
think that's great for the longevity of the game.
Right. And then just to kind of add to that, when we think about the competition side and what you would generally see on the top end, it's very, very polarized right now. And due to the fact that you have a couple of niche units that could be maybe not seem useful now, but useful moving forward due to the fact of the glyph change, it just provides a little bit more versatility that will essentially keep the end game healthy and essentially motivate me to put my tryhard cap on and like I said, try new things. Just again, kind of echoing what you said. Like it's right now my thought process is I need to get my Fire Goblin Shaman as fast as possible if I want to be competitive. And with this recent change, that's not going to necessarily be the case.
Nope. You take your Fire Goblin Shaman, a Water Basilisk, and make them tanky. Give them high resistant immunity. And your Fire Succubus, just do an HP build. You can run like around 130 speed, and you can just destroy people because they
There it
wouldn't
is.
expect it.
See, that's the
They'd
beauty.
expect to walk.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this, guys. I never really have to think anymore because I got my man Max always providing me some really good tips and tricks. And if you guys ever want a chance to, take a look at some of the things that you're looking to improve, want some insight for this game and whatnot on your account, please do me the honor of showing your support. Hop on over to Max's channel. That's twitch.tv/max030994. I'm not really sure why he has this long number, but that's the one he selected.
It's my birthday.
Okay, it's your birthday. No worries, no worries. All right, so at the very least, guys, stop by on his channel on his birthday. Give him some love. But if you can't make it that day, at least come on other days to go ahead and show your support. As far as the general times that you stream, Max, you want to fill everybody in on when you generally do that?
I generally stream Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Gotcha. Sounds good, my man. Well, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to be it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It's your boy Childish and Max with ChildishPlays checking out. Take care, and we will see you on Thursday for the big update in Might and Magic Elemental Guardians. I'm out. There you go.